He has a doctorate of clinical psychology, founder of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Let's welcome Dr. Umar.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
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 Black men get the white women that other white men genuinely do not want. You don't get the top of the line white women. You don't. You get leftovers. Look at most of our celebrities. They did not marry women who came from the richest white families. Black money and white money don't behave the same. New black money will jump on any poor white girl and make her a billionaire, Tiger Woods. No interracial relationship is acceptable because we have too many black women who are unmarried. Black women are the largest population on the planet Earth. If you can't find one in America, get it from Africa. If you can't get it from Africa, go to the Caribbean, go to Canada, go to Europe. Why would a black man need to copulate, build a family with anything other than a black woman when you have so many black women available? It is an exercise in self-hatred. There's no way to get around it. It's easy to judge people when you're comfortable, which is why I tell black educated folk, because they can be very bourgeoisie.
Absolutely.
I can't stand those bourgeoisies who grew up in the ghetto, got their masters and doctorate. Now you acting like you forgot what it was like to be in the hood.
My question is pretty parallel to his. Yes, I've heard you on other podcasts speak on if voting could change anything, it would be illegal. Yes, and that's where I would say, since voting doesn't change anything, it should be illegal. With current tensions in like America, Democratic, Republican, Conservative, what is your predictions in the upcoming election in 2024? Last question is there a cure for the snow buddy, snow puppy crisis?
Is there Great question.
Come on now. Yeah.
The cure for the snow bunny crisis is the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy.
Come on.
We have to raise black boys to be unapologetically committed to black women.
Come on now. Okay.
Period.
Okay.
And we got to raise black girls to be unapologetically committed to black boys. Because I'm going to say this to y'all black women. I don't pick on y'all enough with y'all little snow bunny hunting with these white men. Snow puppies, as I call them. I pick on the men because I know sisters' choices are limited. But I'm also disgusted with black women who are going out here dating non-African men. Black women have been raped so much. Sojourner Truth was raped by her second slave master almost every day while she was a little girl. The white man has always had privilege of access to the black woman's vagina. Hundreds of years. Why would a black woman voluntarily give your vagina to a man who was able to take it whenever he felt like it for 400 years? There is nothing more disgusting than for a black woman to spread herself and let a devil climb into her heaven. Why in the hell would you want to carry a white man's seed? Why, black woman, would you want to carry a white man's seed? I love my sister Serena, and I'm jealous of that white man because I wanted that. Give me them damn thighs. Give me them lamb chops. But the reason Serena married that white man is because she was traumatized. As a tennis player, this black woman had to deal with white people calling her monkeys, animals, men. Y'all heard those white women a couple of years ago. They said they wanted Serena Williams to get a genetic assessment to make sure she wasn't a man masquerading as a woman. Could you imagine being at Wimbledon in the US Open and white people yelling racial slurs at you and the referees don't do nothing about it? They destroyed Serena Williams' self-esteem. The reason she laid down with that white man and had that mixed race baby is she did not want to see nothing else that looked like her. Traumatized. Traumatized. And that's why we got to raise our black boys and girls to love their natural look. When you look at the statues and artwork of Nile Valley culture, Egypt and Ethiopia, Somalia, Uganda, did you realize how our ancestors exaggerated the size of their lips? Exaggerated the size of their nose, exaggerated the size of their hips, exaggerated the color of their skin. They was proud to be African. They were proud to be African. And we running around here trying to look like white women. You got black women getting tummy tucks. Listen to me, sister. Listen. Your head size got to match your body. got a 50-gallon head like me, and you end up with a little girl body, somebody gonna know you had some artificial surgery. There's nothing worse than a black woman who's nice and curvy. I knew some sisters who was nice and curvy, went and got the white girl surgery, all skinny with a big ass head. You know? Make sure your body match your damn head. And stop being so superficial. I can't believe you got black women going down to Mexico and Brazil getting these Brazilian butt lifts, and some of them dying and getting sick and catching AIDS through the needles and cancer. Come on, y'all, why y'all altering your bodies for? Stop doing that. For what? The most attractive thing to a man is a woman's self-confidence. It is not how you look, it is your self-confidence, because that's the closest thing you come to God. Work on your inner self, not your outer self. You got fake breasts? What you gonna do with those when you're 80 years old and they hurt? You got fake butt cheeks? What you gonna do when you're 80 years old and you carrying around all this fake butt? Are y'all thinking about old age?
No, they're not thinking about
You can't possibly be thinking about old age. Y'all gonna be in a world of trouble when you 70 and 80 and all these fake body parts. Cut it out. Eyelashes that look like a damn windshield wiper. Cut it out. Who's my number 4? Right there.
Hi, I'm Deshaun. My question was just about college.
Yes, sir.
So you were saying that we should go for trades.
Yes, sir.
And I just chose my major as psychology, but I'm still like kind of unsure.
Okay.
But I'm wondering, should I still go for a trade even if I get like a psychology degree?
Okay. Where you go to school at, young brother? Okay. Here's what I want to say to you. As a psychology major, and anybody else in here who is or is considering to become a psychology major, you cannot do nothing with psychology unless you're going to get a doctorate. So the question I would have for you, and you don't have to answer it here, just think. Are you committed to getting your 4-year undergrad? And then right after that, assuming you graduate with a 3.5 QPA or higher, applying straight for a PhD program, clinical psych, neuropsych, forensic psych, are you committed to 8 straight years? And are you going to make sure you're coming out of undergrad with a 3.5? Because if you have a 3.5, you can apply straight for a PhD. You don't need a master's degree. Master's degree are for people who didn't graduate with a 3.5 or greater, and you have to prove to the doctoral program that you can do the work. But you can be done in 8 years. But do you have 8 years? If you tell me, I don't think I'm going to stick with this for no 8, then I say, you could become a school psychologist in 6. You could become a licensed professional counselor in 6. You can become a licensed clinical social worker in 6. But if you want to call yourself a psychologist, you need 8. I want you to meditate on that. We need more black psychologists, but I don't need you dropping out with all them student loans and you don't finish. So be honest with yourself. Next question. I went to a high school that was technical. I was in a barbering program. Scotland School for Veterans Children, Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. That's the city where Frederick Douglass met with John Brown before the 1859 Harper's Ferry Revolt. They made me drop out of the barbering program to go into college prep where I took calculus and physics. Guess how many calculus and physics classes I needed to get my bachelor's degree in psychology? 0. Those white folks had no business pulling me out of barbering. I regret not finishing the barbering program. I love being a psychologist, but if I also had my barbering license, when I come across these brothers on the street all doing the wrong thing, I could bring them right into my barbering program and teach them how to cut hair. So I could have still used a trade, even though I love being a psychologist. I want you to think about that. Okay? It's not one or the other. You can probably do both. Who my number 5?
How you doing today, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Umar? My name is Devon. I got a 2-part question as well. Young black men and boys often struggle with identity and anger and violence. How do you think that correlates to a disconnect between us and older generations? And as well, what are some of the things we can do to kind of bridge that gap between us young black men and the older black people?
Great question. Number one, in the 1980s, the government hit us with 2 weapons of mass destruction that the black community is still dealing with. Crack, which was chemical warfare, and AIDS, which was biological warfare. The crack and AIDS weapons that the US government dropped off in the black community, we're still suffering from it now. It destroyed the intergenerational transfer of information and power. Let me say that again. The crack epidemic destroyed the intergeneration transfer of knowledge and power. The reason there's a disconnect between the young and the old is because the black man's ego is just as dysfunctional as the young man's ego. Can somebody tell me why we got pastors who are 70 and 80 when you got young brothers 20 and 30 who ain't never gave a sermon in that church? You know why? Black people do not like to share power. We are so used to being oppressed that whenever we're given a chance to be in charge, we become dictatorial. That's why 90% of every black organization in Kalamazoo, Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Houston, or LA, it is a black man's dictatorship ruled by ego. We do not practice democracy in the black community because the average black man's ego is so frail that if anybody questions my decisions, I'll automatically consider him an enemy. Until we get the ego of the Negro under control. Until we get the ego of the Negro under control, we will never be able to really help our people. Let me explain this. Dr. Umar is egotistical. I don't ever want to see a young brother in here become a better psychologist than me, become a better speaker than me, become a better educator than me. I don't ever want to be surpassed by any young brother in the community. Do you know what that means? That automatically means I don't care about black people. Because it is in human nature for the next generation to outdo the current generation. And if I want to undo God's divine design that says I must be the best ever to do it, how the hell do we improve if I'm the best? And this is exactly why we need term limits for the Congressional Black Caucus. That's why we need term limits for the black church. That's why we need term limits for the Congressional Black Caucus. That's why we need term limits for all black organizations, because this isn't limited to men. Sisters got it bad too. And the only way we're going to overthrow that European consciousness within us, that oversized ego, is to make sure nobody is in power long enough to become a pharaoh instead of an elected position. Are y'all following me? We don't need no damn pharaohs in America. We need leaders who can serve for a period of time and then move on and let some fresh blood be given a chance. That's the problem that we have in black America. And that's why in our history, we've had black leaders come amongst us and claim to have been sent by God or claim to have been God themselves. You know why? Because if I never want to be removed from office, if I got to convince y'all that I am the chosen one. And if I'm the chosen one, you'll never elect me out. You'll never force me out. You'll never overthrow me. That is why we have a whole history of prophets and messiahs, con artists who don't want to be removed from office. How many more, Will? Okay, let's do a queen. And we're going to do the queen who's been on the camera all night.
So I just want to confirm, living in Kalamazoo 20 years, everything that you're saying. When my son was in the 2nd grade, quiet kid. They told me he was behind in one subject. We did exactly what you did. I went home, we worked on it. He was 2 grades ahead the following fall. Everything you said, they tried to put him on ADD meds, all of it. Every single mother I know can attest to what you're saying, how they use the system to try to bully those mothers in those spaces. So I just want to say kudos to you for all of those intersections. I currently work for a nonprofit organization here in the state of Michigan that does grassroots organizing for working class populations. But it's a lot of what you're saying, where there's a lot of black and brown, but not brown and black. And fighting for all these different causes, how would you say for a mother of color or a person like myself in those spaces to advocate for blackness in spaces where we're talking about inclusive advocacy?
Okay, great question. Number one, you're not a woman of color, you're a black woman. Stop calling yourself minorities. Stop calling yourself people of color. Stop calling yourself disadvantaged, marginalized communities. These are words that the white man came up with to make black people think he's talking to you when he's really talking to all the other minorities except you.
Right.
See, when you allow them to call you people of color, then the mayor of Kalamazoo says we gave 25% of our business contracts to people of color.
Right.
And then when you say, well, how many of them was black? Well, we don't keep statistics on black, we keep statistics on people of color. So you see the Chinese got some business grants, and the Asians, and the Latinos, and the Arabs, and the poor white, and black people ain't get shit. Because you let yourself be grouped in with a bunch of non-blacks who don't like black people.
Exactly.
Black.
Yep.
I'm speaking for black people. When I walk into these meetings, I make them clear. I want what's best for the Latino boys. I want what's best for the Native American boys. I want what's best for the poor white boys, the Arabs, the East Indians, but guess what? I'm here representing black people. And I'm not interested in nobody else's complaints. Why? Because they got people to speak for them. They get more resources than we get. They got a better voice than we get. They are less of a threat than we get. So when I come to the meeting, I'm coming for black people. And I don't give a damn who think it's selfish. We better start being selfishly interested in ourselves.
Exactly.
If we do not become our priority, we're never going to overcome it. Two more points to this answer here. Number one, when the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy is ready, we're going to be holding trainings for parents. We're going to be having everything at FDMG. Black Women's Conference, Single Black Parent Conference, Conscious Singles Convention. For those of y'all who are conscious and you're looking for a conscious mate and all you can find is coons in Kalamazoo, you'll be able to come to FDMG and find you a conscious husband or a conscious wife. I'm serious. We got to have a dating system for conscious black people. Because we can't afford for no black man to get married to no coon. Because you'll raise your kids to be coons. You know how many black women I hear from who've been married to black men and now she's elevating her consciousness, but he's still comfortable smoking weed all day with the boys on the corner, and now she's like, Dr. Umar, I don't want to separate from my children's father, but he's not trying to grow and I'm tired of being stuck. And they on the phone crying, Dr. Umar, what can I do? They don't want to leave the husband, but he's a coach. So I have to help conscious people come together so we can build a strong black consciousness community. So I'm saying all that to say that y'all gonna be spending a lot of time at FDMG whether you got students there or not. You a 2-hour ride to the airport. What's your closest airport? Is it DTW or y'all got somebody close? AZO. Kalamazoo got an airport. Which I got 2 airplanes and a helicopter? But listen. So y'all got Kalamazoo. Fly to DTW, that's probably gonna be our connection. Y'all gonna fly to Philly, right? Detroit to Philly is a 1-hour flight. I know because I've done it a million times speaking in Detroit. The front door of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy is 20 minutes from the Philadelphia airport. 20 minutes. So once you get to the Detroit airport, you are literally 1 hour and 20 minutes from our front door. I'm saying that to say that you want to start looking at what airlines give you the cheapest flight, round trip Detroit to Philly, or Kalamazoo to Philly, because y'all gonna be spending a lot of time at our school. We're gonna be having a Black Farmers Conference, Black Investors Conference. We're gonna start a conscious black credit union. We're gonna be doing a lot of good stuff at the school. It's gonna be a school in the daytime, but in the evening and the weekends, it's the Black Community Organizing Headquarters. We own it. No white money, no white grants. It is ours. So we can be there as long as we want and whenever we want. And if you want to work at the school, send me your resume. FDMG resumes with an S at Gmail. FDMG resumes at gmail.com. You must include a photo and a cover letter. Who are you and why should you work at my school? Don't worry about being certified right now. Independent schools have a separate certification process that I'll share with you if we decide to hire you. You don't have to pass the praxis. You don't have to have a Michigan State public school teaching license. The question is, can you teach something that our children need to learn? You might know how to sew. You want to come teach them how to sew. You might know how to fish. You want to come teach them how to fish. You might do documentaries. You want to come teach them documentary filmmaking. You might know how to do natural hair. You want to come teach the girls how to do natural hair because we will be opening the Girls Academy within 3 years of opening the Boys Academy next fall. You do African martial arts, come teach them African martial arts. You do gun and rifle training, come teach them gun and rifle training. You do nature and living off of nature, come teach them how to go camping and hiking. Do you have a skill that black boys need to learn? I got one brother, he's a shellfish crabber. He's going to come teach our boys how to go shellfish crabbing for shrimps and scallops and crabs and all that. And we're going to have a fish fry once a month to raise money for the school. I got another brother, he's going to teach our kids how to make their own shoes. And you know, it was a black man who developed the machine to tie the shoe to the bottom of the sole, Jan Mexlinger from Pennsylvania, so they're going to be making their own shoes. I got a black woman in D.C., she's going to donate 6 modern sewing machines, and she's going to teach the boys how to make their own clothes. FDMG, we changing the game on education. We changing the game on education. It got to be an education for liberation. They're going to be speaking African languages. They're going to learn how to plant and grow their own food. We're going to link up with some of the black farmers right here in Michigan and bring our boys up here for some intensive agricultural training. Do you not know that over 40% of our people were agriculturalists during the Great Migration when we moved up here? We gave up the agriculture for the factories, and after they got us out the agriculture for the factories, they shut the factories down. We got to get back to the land, get back to the earth. I don't know if y'all know this, but in African culture, the earth is a living, breathing deity.
That's right.
That when you dig into the earth, you are tapping into feminine energy, divine feminine energy. That to sit on the earth, to dig in the earth, to plant in the earth is a way to heal your soul. We got to get back to who we are as a people. I'm going to be coming back to KALAMAZOO, just like I'm going to be coming back to Lansing. I'm working on my For Sisters Only book, so I'm going to be coming back to do a For Sisters Only seminar. I also want to come back to do a youth conference, a black men's conference, and I also want to come back to do my black parent boot camp training, which speaks to what you're speaking of, Queen, which is teaching parents how to effectively advocate for their children. The black parent boot camp is a 12-hour training. We go from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. You get lunch, you get dinner, and I teach you step by step the laws, the policies, the evaluation process, the civil rights amendments, the due process, all the disabilities. We go through the whole thing. By the time you are done with my training, you will be a master black parent advocate, and you can even go into business for yourself as an advocate. Some of the parents I've trained, they now get paid by other parents to go with them into these school meetings. And I'll tell you one more thing. For those of you who are looking at another career, consider becoming an educational attorney. We don't have a single black educational attorney of stature in the United States. We don't have no school lawyers. We need some school lawyers. I got accepted to law school back in 2009 while I was finishing my pre-doctoral internship in clinical psychology. I turned it down because psychology was my first love. I regret that decision. Now that I look back, I should have dropped out of the doctoral program, got that damn law degree. I could have finished the PhD later. I could have made so many changes for our children through the law right now for mental health and for education. And now, as much as I don't want to go back to college and deal with no more white folks, I'm considering taking the LSAT in June, and I'm considering going to law school so I'll be in a position to actually fight for some changes in court for our children. But I'm telling you, ed law, educational law, wide open for black folks, and we need some bad. On that note, brothers and sisters,
came with change, I'm amazed, take the high road. Made the play bet on my game, I'm a splash code. Can't complain, I make it rain, heavy cash load. See my veins, I get the gains, you a slimy troll.